Well, hello there, everyone. Welcome to the first episode of the CCA podcast. My name is Krona. I am not named after the beer of my liking. I'm joined today with OmaZen and DRF, who will be my co-host slash guest for tonight. Hopefully, we will be also joined by Kier later in the night. However, that is still a bit iffy depending on the schedule. So you might be wondering what exactly we're all doing here, and what exactly is this podcast thing? Well, to answer your questions, this idea for a CCA podcast has been in the works, I think, as long as the staff room has existed on the server. The idea has always been to have some way to tell the grand storylines of the teams, the players, and everything that happens in the CCA. With how successful season 3 was last season and the general interest for everyone in the community, we thought now was a good time to start this podcast rolling and to develop it as much as we could within the next couple of months. So the idea again is to kind of take the time to talk to the CCA community and to discuss the things that are happening here, whether that be results from tournaments, teams are doing well, the collegiate scene as a whole, and other collegiate-related topics. A lot of the CCA podcast is going to focus on Season 4, which, as you all know, starts next week. So expect these episodes over the next few months to very heavily focus on those. However, eventually, as we get things moving, we are hoping to expand to further topics such as starting clubs at your universities and kind of larger competitive community aspects. Yes, this project is very much still in the works. Please bear with us and be patient as we figure everything out. I'm sure we will make a ton of mistakes and have a lot of issues going on. However, we want to work through this and we want to, deliver you the best product we can. So please just have patience as we figure out how to run this all, where this fits into the rest of the CCA content, and in that all. So, without further ado, let's talk about what we're going to be covering tonight. So, as has been stated on the advertisement, we're mostly going to cover topics and the tournaments that were happening over the summer. Those mainly being Booyah Bowl 2, Study Abroad, the Collegiate Side Bracket Riptide, and then we're going to transition to discussing more pre-Season 4 League elements, that being mainly Entrance Exam 2. All right, so without further ado, let's increase the counter and get started. So I'm going to start talking with our first event of the summer, that being Booyah Bowl 2, which was quite a long time ago, actually. That was actually in July of 2023, which honestly feels like a lifetime ago for, I hope, everyone involved. For those of you who did not view the event or weren't kind of in the CCA community by then, Booyah Bowl 2 was CCA's invitational event for a selection of Division 1 teams and division winners throughout CCA League Season 2 and Season 3. It was put together as a celebration of the seasons of the league and to with the idea of hopefully producing very interesting matchups and quote unquote crowning a champion among champions. This event was hosted, I believe, at the end of June, and 16 teams were invited for a play all round robin plus 2 single elimination 3-round brackets. I want to quickly talk about some of the most interesting stuff that happened in the group stages, and I'll pass the mic over to DRF to talk about the results from the bracket and the overall experience. So let me hopefully share my screen correctly.
Nice.
There we go. Yippee. I did not share my tab filled with my schoolwork.
That's always a win.
That would, I don't think everyone wants to lecture on deep learning topics right now. Anywho, so 16 teams, we had 4 groups of 4. Like I said, it was a play all 3 round robin, so every team faced all the other teams in their group. So starting with Group 1, we had Purdue's Team Boilermaker Special, with the Division 2 champions Old Bay Brigade, Husky Splatfield Knights, and Life Could Bradley Dream. The most interesting thing that kind of came out from this group was Old Bay Brigade's run. Mainly, Battlefly can work me very well. There are 3 Division 1 veterans, Husky Splatsville Knights, and the fact that they were the only team. Round 3. My apologies. They were the only team to take a game off of Boilermaker Special until the grand finals of this tournament. Old Bay Brigade was the Division 2 champion for Season 3. They were first in their group in Group B, and while they did not sweep completely through the Division 2 finals, but they were very dominant in their force, and this is a very good result for them. Taking on some Division 1 veterans and also kind of pushing how high they can go with some of the other Division 1 teams. Moving on to Group B, which was Ink Black, Banana Split, Card Ink Soda Fries, and IBC Diamond Rays. The most interesting thing here being the fact that there was no clear team that 3-0'd all their opponents. We had a 3-way tie for first between Ink Black, Banana Split, and Card Ink Soda. Basically, you had the classic rock, paper, scissors match of Ink Black beating Card Ink Soda's beating Banana Split, the Banana Split beating Ink Black. So I wasn't there for the staff rooms for that whole discussion. However, I do know things were a little chaotic for that. Luckily, we didn't have to do a tiebreaker match as the math worked out, since one of those matches was a 3-0 and the other 2 were 2-0s. So it worked out that Ink Black got the top spot in the division. However, this Card Ink Soda's win over Banana Split very much caused a disruption in the tournament as it let Banana Split go into the gold bracket with a lower seed than they were initially planned to have. Group C. Yes. Group C. The most significant event here that happens was, let me go to the match setup here, was the first round match between Squids at Cal and Stars of Orion. This would probably be what I would argue for the most significant and dramatic impact on the tournament as a whole, because basically this gave Squids at Cal the entrance into the gold bracket and then forced Stars of Orions to the top of silver, which, as DRF will explain a little bit, caused a lot of mismatch with predictions and such. So it's crazy to think that this entire thing happened just because Squids at Cal was able to ensure that Game 3 victory over Stars of Orion. Falling on to Group D, where you had UCSD, Penn State, and WPI, and University of Texas at Dallas.
Austin.
Yes. Oh my God. I always get confused.
We don't want to anger the Texans here.
Yes. The first 2 rounds were pretty straightforward, with UCSD and PSU 3-0ing both their opponents, but the third was the most interesting, since UCSD and PSU were facing each other. So you had the battle of the Division 3 champions, with Grisco Workers Union winning Division 3 in Season 2, and Nightfall winning it in Season 3. Grisco Workers Union won in the Game 3. Additionally, you had PSU Blue taking the win over Esports Gold in Game 3 here, which, as we'll show later, UCSD Esports Gold was not going to let that happen again. So that leads us into discussions revolving the silver and gold bracket, and for that, I will pass it on to DRF.
Yeah. So, so let's go ahead and dive right into silver bracket, because there's a lot to dissect here. So first of all, shout out to all of our division champions that came through for this event. The whole idea behind Booyah Bowl 2, as Krona said, was that it is meant to sort of be a celebration, but also kind of like a championship level type event, similar to all sorts of different college bowls in football. So we wanted to give the opportunity to a lot of division winners to try to stack themselves up against what is supposed to be the best of the best in Division 1 teams. So we had like Barracuda and Bradley come through, and even though I noted it was a tough matchup for those teams, I think that they did pretty well, all things considered. To just give themselves a chance, just dive on in and see what they can get out of it. So we do see them both unfortunately fall pretty early in the silver bracket, but we had a couple of spicy sets there. I mean, IVC Diamond Rays winning 3-1 over Grizzco's Workers Union. The IVC Diamond Rays was your Division 4 champions in Season 3. And they were a bit of a late addition to this event, and they knocked it out of the park. I don't think anybody on staff had quite anticipated the way that IVC Diamond Rays were playing in this. It is worth noting, I believe, that Frosty did join IVC Diamond Rays as an emergency sub. So there is maybe something to read into there about the impact that Frosty might be having on, playing with IVC. So, come up with whatever theories as you will. But I think that there was certainly an impact there, because taking a win over Grizzco Workers Union, who, won Division 3 in Season 2 and then proceeded to do decently well for themselves in Division 2. This should have been a Grizzco Workers Union victory, but IVC went on to beat them 3-1. Hook the Husky Splatsville Knights. This is a Division 1 team that made the playoffs in Season 2, and I believe finished middle of the pack in Season 3, but they're still a consistently strong Div 1 team. They beat them in a Game 5, and then took on the Carney Inc. Soda Fries, the runners-up in Division 2. All three of these teams, on paper, should beat the IVC Diamond Rays. But IVC said, this doesn't matter. We don't care about your results. And they knocked this out of the park. I think that they really made a very strong case for themselves here, because not only were they Div 4 champions, now they're silver bracket champions and beating these Div 1, Div 2 teams. And, there is actually an interview with IVC that exists that we're hoping to put out there soon that dives a little more into that. But IVC, we notice you. You guys are going to have a great run next season. But the question is, what div? We don't know. But Div 1, Div 2 looking kind of nice. And then also just a quick shout out to Stars of Orion there. They did pretty well for themselves as well in third place. This was kind of the send-off tournament for Secant and I believe possibly Nito as well. As I don't think either of those two are returning to UT Dallas. I believe they both graduated. So huge shout out to them. We love Stars of Orion, and especially those two players for really being part of the genesis of the CCA. So cool. But that covers silver bracket. So
yep, I'll move on to gold.
For sure.
Give me a second. My computer is not happy with everything going on right now.
You and me both. So at least my computer's not complaining anymore. So like we said, this is episode 0 for a reason. So we're figuring things out as we go along. So one of the cool things from this event is that we actually did have 2 streams. So we were able to cover, twice as many matches. So shout out to Falco and Vapor for making that happen over on Splatoon Tourney. But diving into this bracket here, this one kind of required a little bit of change up because Battlefy is weird and doesn't see things the way that they're supposed to. So I believe we actually initially had to change a few things to get the matchups that were supposed to happen and the matchups we have here. But yeah, Obey Brigade taking a game off the Night Sharks. I mean, that's huge right off the bat. I believe that match was on Splatoon Tourney, I think. Although I might be misremembering. But anyways, taking a game off the Night Sharks there, one of, the toughest teams in the CCA, like that's huge in of itself right there. I mean, Obey Brigade definitely going to have assuming that they're returning with their whole roster, I think they should have pretty competitive matchups in Div 1. And then PSU Banana Split renewing that rivalry from the semifinals of Division 1 last year. PSU Blue getting the best of Banana Split though. And my goodness, round 2, the semifinals was electric. I mean, this was an exact replica, if I remember correctly, from Entrance Exam 1. If I think that was the case, or at least something similar. I
think so. I think so. I mean, other than Boilermaker was Banana Split, but
yeah. So all these matchups have happened before. And UCSD Night Sharks was just so good. UCSD going up 2-1 on the Night Sharks and on the verge of actually punching their ticket and breaking the 4th place curse, which we'll touch back on that in a second. But UCSD has been fighting so hard to get to a championship all academic year long. Got so close and just slipped up in brine water clams to the Night Sharks, and the Night Sharks continue to show that they're just such a good team, and so much credit to them. But UCSD ultimately does break the 4th place curse. They finished 4th in season 2, 4th in season 3, and 4th in entrance exam 1. So they were definitely trying so hard to break this, and I'm very happy for them. UCSD alumni aside, that they managed to finally at least finish one place above where they just have been stuck for so long. And that UCSD team, for the most part, is returning. So it's going to be kind of interesting to see where they go from here. But of course, the money match, Boilermaker Special versus Night Sharks. A lot to be said here, just in terms of how competitive this one was. Back and forth all set long. I think they kind of just went. I think they essentially traded games more or less. But I could be misremembering. Let's see. Yeah, I'd have to look at the actual tape itself. But of course, all boils down to the infamous Game 5 Scorch Gorge Rainmaker. I don't think I've ever had my heart broken so bad watching a competitive Splatoon match where, yes, an electric matchup, I think, is the way to put that. As what's to say that lightning doesn't strike twice type thing. And unfortunately for the Night Sharks, that seemed to have been the case where lightning literally struck, and we get the infamous DC going into overtime, and Boilermaker Special pulls it out in Game 5. So it was, theirs to win. That all followed the rules and whatnot. It just, I don't think we've had a more unfortunate ending. But hey, CCA, for some reason, Game 5s are always just they're always memorable. I think that's the way to put that.
Yeah, I mean, I remember watching that live, and my heart just sunk seeing the Rainmaker DC in that last like 30 seconds. It was such a thrilling set to watch. Like you could literally see like the CCA history being made as they were playing. So to have an ending like that, it's just like you said, it's heartbreaking to see, but the end of the day, it is what it is, and both teams played very well, and it was a fantastic event to recap both season 2 and season 3. So yeah, so that was the story of Booyah Bowl 2. Honestly, what I would say is one of the most interesting single day CCA tournaments that we've ran.
Yep.
As for the future Booyah Bowls, it's way too early to confirm or deny a possible another one after the spring season. We on the staff will play it by year and see what happens. Yeah. So let me see if. All right. It does not look like Kira can join us to talk about study abroad, so you're going to have to bear with us as I read all of her notes. Lovely. Let me pull up the bracket. I did not fully prepare for
that. You're all good.
So, what is study abroad? Well, with an excuse of the summer season being, non-academic years for many people, we decided to run a more social tournament, that being study abroad, which was a CCA's very first free agent tournament. Kira pitched this back when they were first interviewing to join the CCA staff team. It's kind of been a constant item of discussion since. Many of us have liked the idea and want to see it through. However, we are unsure of the practicality and some of the time commitments to do so. But having some time to film this summer and seeing the drive from the CCA community to have such an event, Kira decided to take the reins and TO their first Splatoon tournament. They So they wanted to give a huge thanks to everyone on the staff team who helped, specifically to DRF Snow and Frosty for the teams, and to OmaZen for helping stream and produce this event. Um, so they note that the tournament had a lot higher turnout than was originally expected. A lot of players were interested in the chance to mingle with other collegiate players, and there was a lot of creative and fishy. Oh yeah, that's right. There was a ton of fish puns for these team names. I forgot about that. Krillian, wasn't one team like Shrimp as that?
Well, there was a shrimp fried rice up there.
Yeah, that right here. Yes.
So.
Yes, lot of fish puns, a lot of fun times with the team names and such. I didn't participate in this event, nor was I there for the staff rooms, but I do remember that a lot of people were taking this opportunity to engage more with their pickup team and such. There was a lot of scrims happening the few days beforehand, and it seemed that people were generally very excited just to have the chance to play with each other and to have fun. So the tournament seemed to have gone fairly well. It looks like there was Swiss to brackets. Let's take a look at the top card quickly. So as I look at the bracket, like any of these names will make sense to me. Oreo O is winning. Who is here? Nux, Lucky, and my guy R&D. No, that's not how you say that. But yeah, it seems that this tournament went fairly well, and a lot of people are open to, the idea of, not just having the CCA be a place for collegiate teams from the same university to compete, but more of the CCA community as a home, that being that being any collegiate player. Kira does note that there's some stuff that could probably be improved on in the future. That being that random team assignments was fun, but not the most fun for everyone. Additionally, some of our newer players who, may not have collegiate teams of their own to participate in some of the other CCA events, kind of fell to this event to be their first introduction to CCA, and might have had some frustrations with some of the barriers of entry. She also mentioned some ideas of making divisions system specific to the events. So a lot of stuff with matching. I wasn't there for the matching process, but I do know that they try to take a lot of their time and be very thorough with this process. But obviously, it's not perfect, especially when you're seeding based off players rather than teams themselves. And I do also remember that there was some last second delays in the tournament, mainly being with some organizational stuff that I believe Kara said that she would like to iron out next time if given the chance. That being said, we here think the tournament was a great success for what it was supposed to do. That was to bring the CCA community together to participate and to have fun with each other. Kara wants to thank everyone for letting this event happen and for participating. And there's a note here to try to work in a fish pun somewhere that I just saw now. So,
well, I think before we hand it, we transition off of this one, because I think that study bot was such a cool tournament. I mean, first of all, like, can you go back to the graphic? Like,
yes,
we told EJ on this one, hey, we just need a simple graphic.
Oh no.
Like, just anything will work. And EJ like proceeded to take the next like 3 weeks to work on this graphic. It was like, guys, it's almost done. It's almost done. So first of all, shout out to EJ for like making one of my favorite graphics that we have in the CCA now. That man doesn't understand simple. So very glad to have him on that. But yeah, no, I know OmaZen, you're on the broadcast side of this as well. Anything that you specifically kind of remember from, because you got to essentially watch the whole event.
Oh, I watched everything go down exactly. I remember like even just leading up to it, we were we were sending recommendations like the night before to EJ on like some last finishing touches on the graphics. It was like there was so much energy being put up put into this event up through the very last second, and it really reflected in the event itself. I remember watching Help Desk and some of the general chats the day of leading up
Mm.
to the tournament, and the energy there was so palatable and exciting. This was like easily one of, I think, the most successful events for a general member of the CCA that might not be able to
Mm.
participate necessarily with the collegiate team in our regular seasons. And even just like outside of that, on the stream side, the energy we had in chat was amazing. Just all the different crazy pickups that we concocted were also really fun. And seeing them kind of work together to figure out their own silly little comps. I know Oreos, they kind of snuck a little bit under the uh, I don't know how to exactly word it right, but there were some shenanigans going on with them where the they really like took a lot of games home and had a lot of dominance in the tournament. Um,
Mm.
so it was exciting.
Oh yeah.
Hmm.
Oreo O's definitely kind of went under the radar because I know there we
That's
weren't
yeah.
like betting in the staff chats, but we had our predictions for
Hmm.
which team would do well, and I don't know if Oreo O's actually came up
They
at
never
any
came
point
up.
between the staff.
Yeah, we totally overlooked them, and they really were kind of a shining star of the whole tournament. No one saw that coming
Yeah.
from a mile away, and then we all reflected on it after the fact, and we're like, "Oh, that makes more sense with their roster and lineup,
Mhm.
the dynamic they all have with one
Yeah.
another."
Yeah, I think we all realized it. Yeah, it was literally after the event. We're like, wait, yeah, that team is kind of strong, isn't it?
Hmm.
So I mean, that was kind of cool. But I know that we also had a few like interesting teams as well that we sort of just experimented some ideas with. So like Mewtwo's team, we paired Mewtwo and Elixir because we're like, these guys are good commentary partners together. What would happen if we take these two, really solid players and paired them with two people that came into the CCA with not really any competitive experience. And I think they made a run all the way to semifinals. I don't remember they finished in third or fourth, facing off against Vapor's team. So that was a TZS showdown there. But shout out to them as well because I think we were pleasantly surprised by that team as also in terms of how they managed to perform. Kona, do you have your fish pun?
I'm just gonna copy what's on that mug right there and just say, I'd rather be fishing.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and move this one along. So that covers study abroad. And next we do have for Krona, I'll give you this to help you out here so you don't have to go find it. So that is in the chat. But let's hop on over to Riptide, since that was the third event of our summer. So as we kind of pull this one up, let's kind of just give you all a bit of a recap for exactly what happened at Riptide. So first of all, the CCA was at Riptide, which is really awesome. The first time that we've ever had like full collegiate land, small, but it was our, I guess, first official CCA land. It was a side event at Riptide at the Kalahari Resort in Sandusky, Ohio, earlier this month. And we got to feature 5 different college teams. So as you can see them all there, we have Boilermaker Redux out of Purdue, Stash also out of Purdue, Coastal Squid Surf from Coastal Carolina University, ONSU from Ohio State University, and Goomies from Virginia Commonwealth University. So those were the 5 teams that competed from 4 different universities, which, first of all, the fact that we got those 5 teams to come through, huge. We weren't really sure what we were going to get. We were praying that we at least hit 4. So getting 5 was definitely nice. We were thinking that we might be able to squeeze in a 6th, but I think there was a few universities that were like one person shy of forming a team. I think, we had a few Michigan State people there. We had a couple of Penn State people there, but just not enough for them to participate in this event. Now, the format for this was a single elimination consolation bracket. So basically what that means is it's single elim, but once you lose, you drop to that consolation bracket and you fight for third place. The winner of that like losers bracket is the third place winner. So that actually allowed us to create a scenario where every team played 2 or 3 matches, and it actually created a very good streaming schedule for us as well that allowed us to cover all 5 teams on stream at one point or another. So with that, we can kind of like quickly take a look at the results here. From the main bracket itself, we started off on stream with Stash versus Gumi. Stash taking that one 3-0. We actually kicked that one off on Crab Leg, the first time that we have seen Crab Leg played on LAN. So that was actually kind of cool. Judge us for the map list all you want. Snow and I will still stand by it. We think it was a bigger map list.
Yeah.
OmaZen might say otherwise.
Yeah. No, the minute DRF walked into the venue, me and Drumar immediately walked up to him and were like, "Hey, what is this map list? What is this map list, DRF?" It was very funny.
Great.
Yeah.
So, but I think it turned out fine.
It did turn out fine.
But Stash gonna take that one 3-0. Played Boilermaker Redux in a Purdue versus Purdue matchup. That one, no surprises there, as Boilermaker Redux came into this tournament as the favorites, winning that 3-0. But on that other side of bracket, CSS beating Ohio State 3-1. Like let me put it like this: we could hear what was going on the side. Like both Mizuno and I on the mic, and now we were like, what's going on? Like, so this has got to be a good set. And finally they told us CSS wins 3-1. We both looked at each other like, that's a result. So that was pretty crazy. So that meant that Ohio State, Stash, and Goomies dropped down to consolation to play out for third, which we can jump over to real quick here to cover those matches. Again, because it's like 5 teams and the consolation and whatever, like it's kind of a weird looking bracket. It's easier when you can see it all together, but this is the way we had to organize on StartGG. So shout out to Kraken and Raze for helping us figure that out. As StartGG also takes forever to load.
My computer really does not like this. There we go.
No, apparently not.
Windows.
All right. But yeah, so Stash, because they won that first round, got that bye into consolation. So Ohio State took care of him 3-0, but Stash quickly responded by taking care of Ohio State 3-0, which that is a big result for Stash as well, given that Ohio State has both Div 1 and Div 2 experience. So pretty cool. Awesome job by Stash to take home third place. But we want to take a look at the finals because there is so much to talk about here, which we're gonna, Krona's gonna kind of take over here in just a minute. But notably, Boilermaker Redux winning this 3-2 in reverse sweep fashion. This has got to be one of the most hype sets that I have ever commentated and been a part of. This set made everything absolutely worth it. And let's dive a little more into this one, though. I'm going to let Krona take the lead because there's so much to talk about with Riptide in general.
Yeah, so as DRF said, they're passing the mic to me here, and I have the pleasure of interviewing 2 people very closely tied to the Riptide events, that being DRF, who, as he mentioned, was staff and commentating events, and also OmaZen, who played on Boilermaker Redux. So to take a little step back and to take our time to get to this final, DRF, can you take us through some of the prep work for this events? When did this idea for hosting a side event at Riptide come together? And how did you get it off the ground?
Yeah, so a little bit of just insight into how that all happened is Magic and I had a conversation at, I think, before LTC even, because we were thinking about even doing a collegiate side bracket there, but obviously that was going to be just too short of a turnaround. But Magic was like, hey, I need you to meet Aaron. Aaron is kind of the big head honcho of running Smash and I guess basically all LAN related things for LTC and Riptide. So we got to LTC and Magic's like, DRF, where are you at? Come to the help desk. So we go to the TO desk, and I got a chance to talk with Aaron. We talk a lot about collegiate stuff. He's saying that he's super interested in making it happen. And we basically said, let's make Riptide a goal. This is something that's very possible. The timeline might be tricky because it's so close to the start of the school year. So we said, let's just plan for it and see what happens. So a few weeks after the event, we all get into a group chat, and then we just start to slowly chip away at it. Me, Mizuno, Magic, Rays, Kraken, and Aaron all together just started to kind of figure some stuff out. And eventually we just said, hey, let's just go for it. We don't know unless we try. And very luckily enough, we got the 5 teams to come through. Obviously, the sign-up process was a little bit weird, but that's because we also had, Aaron was also operating Collegiate crews for Smash as well. So we had to run through that very specific process of, you sign up via email and, so anticipate, if we were to do this again, I mean, I think that's one thing that we're hoping to change, but, we have to figure out how to operate things for invoices and whatever. So.
Yeah, fantastic. Switching into OmaZen, when did the idea for Boilermaker Redux come together for participating in the side bracket?
Yeah, so if I'm not mistaken, DRF, can you touch upon when the event was announced, just so I can jog my memory?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't quite remember. I think it was probably about a month or month and a half
Yeah.
out. So it was like late July, early
Okay.
August.
All right. Yeah. So just I don't know. We'll generalize it to the summer, right? So over the summer, me and Riley Rooster, who's also a CCA staff member, uh, were talking together about the possibility of participating in the CCA Collegiate side event after it was announced. And we didn't really know what we wanted to necessarily do with it. It was more of just an idea in the air, and it stayed that way for honestly a really long time. Like we're talking just like a couple weeks before Riptide was actually scheduled to happen in early September. And towards the end of August, when school had just got back in session, I'm pretty sure it was literally the first week back, Ali from, also known as Arcanagon Online, reached out in our Purdue competitive chat that we have for people who are part of competitive teams or just the competitive scene in general in our Splatoon at Purdue server. And she was like, "Hey, does anyone want to make a team for the CCA side event?" And I was like, "I'm cooking here." And I go to Riley and I'm like, "Hey, I know it's been a minute. We haven't talked about this in a while. What if we take Allie and we have her on her pickup if she's open to it?" And she was like, "Oh, okay. Let's see if she can do it." So we asked her, and she said yes. So that was awesome and really exciting. And that's like, okay, well, we need a fourth member, and who could we not like? There's only one really correct option in my opinion, and that's Astrum. He knows how to cook. He knows the game in and out. His trademark is just being silly, goofy, and doing dumb things with the game. It's like who wouldn't you want on your team? So we reached out to him too. He was also down, so it's like, wow, we have the squad. We got all the gamers here. So that was awesome and really exciting. We came up with Boilermaker Redux really quickly. That was initially Rooster's idea. So, kind of the idea behind the name was that we have that Purdue branding through Boilermaker, and Redux kind of ties into that all 4 of us are past Purdue affiliated competitive players. So Rooster used to be on Bash, now she's on KitKat. I used to be on the Purdue Air Launchers, now I'm on Sparkling Sea. Aster used to be ITAP, and now he's SPU. Um, Ali also used to play in some Purdue pickups and whatnot more frequently, so you had that kind of playing into it as well. So all in all, at the end of the day, the stars kind of really aligned. It was really exciting, and just like that whole buildup was really cool.
Yeah, we love some consistent Collegiate Splatoon team branding.
Hmm.
uh, as we saw on stream, for those who weren't there, there was a lot of excitement in the venue. For both of you, what was the atmosphere like in person from your perspectives?
Um, so at least from the player perspective, right? I during that final set was like I was aware that there was a lot of hype going on the side. Like I think around game 2, we had like a pretty notable crowd forming because I think the previous set had started to wind down at the very least. Um, and the just like the intensity there, it's like wow, this is grand finals of the first CCA in person Splatoon event. What is happening? And then you had all the other stuff going on in game because I'm trying to stay concentrated on the game, right? So it's like, okay, I'm trying to make plays with my team. There's a lot of chaos going on. We're kind of getting beaten down, for lack of a better term. CSS, it's Coastal Squid Surf. They really were not playing around, and it was a really amazing matchup where we had to really give it our all. So just like all that energy in the room combined with our own gameplay and the other team's gameplay, that was uh, there was not anything else I've experienced like that. I don't know if DRF can speak to any of that from the commentator perspective.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Like the energy was crazy. It was so much better than I could have even imagined. I think the one slight I don't think it's fair to say it's a regret. I think the one request that I have for the future is give us main stage. Like
Oh
we
yeah.
we yeah, we were all crowded into the corner of the ballroom. Like around this table, like it was literally the commentators, and then there was like a wall, and then right behind us was where grand finals was taking place. So people had to watch by whoever was like whatever monitors they could see. It's
Hmm.
like we need a main stage next time. So
Yeah.
that is a request to Kraken and Raise, because I think it is 100% would have been worth it. The energy was infectious. Like, things were getting really hyped up just from the Ohio State CSS match alone. And then going into grand finals, the crowd just started to build a little bit. Dio comes out of nowhere for game 3, just like shouting like a madman to hype up the crowd in Purdue. So like, I mean, I don't know. That was also cool. And while we were commentating, in the corner of my eye, I see Magic, Raze, and Kraken all huddled around the spectator monitor, and they're just standing there like, yo, like, are you seeing this? It was so cool, like, just to see people get super into it. And then at one point as well, I got so excited with it that I was starting to like get out of my seat. Mizuno had to grab me and sit my butt back down because it was just that chaotic. It was so much fun.
Wow, what a sounds like a time. Um, Must have been absolutely thrilling to be there for everyone involved. We've already kind of started to hint about it here, but let's discuss a little bit more about this grand finals match. OmaZen, in the grand finals, we saw that Boilermaker Redux initially went down 0-2 to Coastal Squid Surge. And I think everyone was really surprised to see the reverse sweep at the end.
Yeah.
What changed going into game 3?
Yeah, so I guess to give a little bit of context on the first two games, just since it's been a hot minute for most people here. Um, Game 1 was on ship-shape zones, and that was a completely new map, and it's something that honestly all four of us had never touched really properly prior to the tournament. I think in club or something the week prior we might have like played it a few times, just like, oh, this is the silly new map, and that was kind of it. Uh, but we didn't practice really together either as a team on at least for Boilermaker Redux. So what we did leading up to our first set, which was against Stash, the other Purdue pickup, we sat on an empty setup in the corner and we're like, okay, let's just open a quick 2v2 PB and practice each of the map modes. And we went on ship shape zones like once, and we're like, okay, yeah, we got this. It's easy. And we completely forgot that none of us knew callouts. None of us knew what we were really doing in general, honestly, because on ship-shaped zones, at least, you have the goofiness of the map where there's like a pseudo bridge with that gap in the middle. Um, and there's just like all these weird pieces of like just of the map that you have to navigate around. And we had no practice on that, and that kind of really, I think, reflected in that first game. And then the second match, that was just flounder. That was just flounder. For context, it was flounder TC, and there's no getting around that. That's just a garbage map mode. I'm sorry, that was like the one stain on the tournament. But regardless of any of that, it we were down 0-2. Primarily just from being kind of unprepared. So going into game three, it's like, okay, if we lose this, it's over. We just got hardcore swept by Coastal Squid Surf. And like, don't get me wrong, they would completely deserve that. But it's like we have to at least give our all and see what we can do. So at that point forward, Allie, for those who aren't familiar, she primarily plays Tetradulies. She's mostly a Tetradulies one trick. Um, but she's like, hold up, let me cook. And she pulls out the splat doolies, the V doolies, suction bomb, crab tank, arts kit. And she is like, okay, so we need to get more pressure going on here. If I remember right, this was Sturgeon Rainmaker. And we just like that alone helped us create a lot of pressure and kind of gave us a pseudo backline because for the most part in our set, Astrum was on Crack-On Roller, so he was playing the Kraken and Beacons, and then for the most part, I believe I was on either a T-Tech or a Splash-O-Matic. Rooster was mostly NZAP, if I remember correctly. So, like, me and Rooster's jobs were just to enable um, Astrum and Alley to the best of our ability and create enough paint and space. So moving into that third game was really crucial to make sure that we got this down. And I think um, a lot of it was ultimately able to come together. In particular, what really helped us lock down that set was a push that I think I ended up making, where we just kind of sent it after a certain point, after we got their checkpoint, and just sent it as far as we could. I believe we got down to the 38 mark point wise, and that helped us really lock in the set. And from there on, we just kept mid pressure to the best of our ability and really held on to defense. So yeah, that was a really intense set, and I'd be more than happy to go into more, but that's yeah, game three was insane.
Well, I'm glad things started to click for you in that match. With the added context that Redux didn't necessarily do as much preparing as some of the other collegiate teams did ahead of time. How did you feel about the fact that Redux was the favorite to win this tournament going in? Did that add any pressure onto how you play or change your mental?
Personally, at least, not really. I was very much viewing this tournament as like a casual, like for fun thing, at least personally. Um, I just wanted to play with some friends at the end of the day and just get more Splatoon in. So that was my main objective and goal with it all. And I do think that the pressure, despite that, I'm reading Riley's message in the corner. Okay, I wasn't like that, but I think like once we got to game two, I started doing the same thing. Um, I definitely felt the stress come on, and it's like, okay, crap, this is real. Like, I think game two and onwards, I was constantly shaking. Like game five, or like game four even. Like there was some we just like you could tell that there was a little bit of panic in the air, like holy crap, what is happening? Just like some silly bomb deaths, like us falling in the water in a silly place, right? Just stuff where it's like, man, wouldn't hope to necessarily do that. But yeah, going into it, I didn't really feel much pressure. In the moment, it definitely did start to come on.
Well, luckily you made it through. Boilermaker Redux did end up winning that grand finals match. How'd you feel afterwards? Were you excited to win it all? Relieved that was over? Kind of talk about it.
I mean, after the fact, we'll get into this a little bit later, but there was a lot of stuff that I had no idea was going to happen or go down. I was just like, yay. That like I thought it was just going to be like, yay, you won, hooray. Okay, good night everyone. Maybe try to get to the water park if you can because the event ran over. Um but uh following the event, I was like, at least personally, I don't think it was definitely there was a lot of hype. It was so exciting. A lot of like celebration and whatnot, just like being happy to, have that memory shared with each other and like get a big notable win for Purdue that hasn't really been done before. There hasn't been a collegiate in-person LAN in the way that the CCA was able to do it at Riptide. So yeah, that was a really cool moment in particular too.
Yeah, fantastic. Kind of OmaZen kind of alluded to this already, TR. But what was in mind for the winners? Specifically, were there any rewards?
Well, if you stuck around for the stream, there definitely was. So there's actually a story to this. So bear with me for a second. So going into the CCA, we part of the scheduling and organization of everything was that Kraken and Raze approached me and Mizuno and said, "Hey, just so you know, you guys have a 2-hour time limit. Like, we need to get out of there by 10 p.m. So you guys have 8 to 10 to run." Of course, a LAN being a LAN can't operate without delays. So by the time the CCA got started, it was 9:30. So we knew that we were going to be on a tight schedule. We knew that there was, you know, there was kind of an added pressure of like, oh, we got to get things going, whatever, because people want to get out. It even reached a point where we said, hey, let's just reduce the first 2 rounds to best of threes. Grand finals will be best of five. And Kraken came up to me and was like, hey, I heard you guys are cutting things. What's going on? And I explained the situation. He was like, please change it back. And I'm like, why? Because we're already running late. He's like, I don't give a damn. Like, change it back. Trust me, it's gonna be worth it. Like, I will stay if I have to. If anyone needs to leave for the water park, they can leave. Like, I am staying. We're gonna make this event what it's supposed to be. And I was like, okay, I guess maybe. And like me, Snow, and Frosty and Mizuno were kind of just tossing back and forth. Like, do we want to do it? Do we not want to change it back? And then Kraken finally just pulled me to the side. Was like, follow me, takes me backstage to production, whatever, and pulls out medals and a trophy. And we were like, wait, when did this happen? And he's like, I just found out about this too. Like, I found out about this yesterday. Here, you guys are playing for a freaking trophy. And we're like, oh, okay, change everything back. Go, go, go. So we had to pull all the captains back, and we were like, hey, we're changing it back to best of fives. Trust us, it's going to be worth it. Luckily, everybody was on board, and everyone understood, hey, we might miss the after event water park, exclusive for Riptide attendees, but we know it's going to be worth it to play. And yeah, so there was a freaking trophy on the line, and it was a really, really cool trophy. So I mean, I think the question is, OmaZen, where is the trophy now?
As it turns out, it's right here. I actually still have it in my possession. I'm gonna try to very delicately take it out. Okay. Ooh, real. Yeah,
It's
so
such a nice trophy.
yeah,
Mhm.
for anyone that wasn't able to see it well, it says Riptide 2023 Champion Splatoon 3 Collegiate. And then everyone who I believe first place and then second place also got medals. So that was another very cool surprise that I didn't expect either. Um, in terms of plans for the trophy, because I think it would be very lame if I held on to it, if just one person held on to it forever, right? um, we're planning on displaying it in Purdue's Co-Rec Center. Um, so we're getting that all situated out right now and coordinated with our esports advisor. Um, just so that we can get a proper space allocated and potentially a display too. So it's going to be really cool when we finally get all those plans finalized. But yeah, until then, I'm just holding on to it for safekeeping.
My, what a wonderful experience, all told, and a fantastic win for Purdue. DRF, what is the future for collegiate lands? Collegiate Splatoon lands.
Yeah. Honestly, the future we don't know. Uh, this I think was a very successful event. We would love to do it again. So our goal is to hopefully bring it to other popular Splatoon lands as a possibility. We know that LTC had 7 different collegiate teams come through. So I don't think we can say anything or make any promises, but it is a goal to continue to make this happen. I know a lot of regional collegiate lands have continued to be in the works as well. So that's something that I think we can continue to look forward to from different colleges. I know a few different discussions are ongoing as well. So collegiate lands are here to stay. So it's just a matter of different sizes, different capacities, different locations. But I'm excited for it, and it's not going anywhere. So I don't know when is the next one, but it certainly will not be the last.
Fantastic. Wrapping this collegiate side bracket topic up, DRF, is there anyone you'd like to thank or dedicate this whole event to, or just
Oh
give thanks
man.
for putting it together?
I mean, I gave my thanks to all the Riptide people already, but shout out to them again and David on production. So there was another David there. Did an awesome job. Stuck with us the whole way through. ProChar for letting us use his stream to run the collegiate stuff. Obviously, Mizuno, Snow, Frosty, the 4 of us were kind of the main, I guess, organizers on the CCA side of things, but I know OmaZen, Rooster were helping us along the way, but we told them go focus on playing, go win this whole thing. But they were sure to keep in touch, make sure that things were running smoothly, whatever. Magic was on spec cam, Vapor was on spec cam for a little bit as well. So there's just a lot of people. I'm probably missing somebody, but it takes an army to make something like this happen, even at a small scale. It takes a lot of people, but it's such a worthwhile experience.
Yeah, no, it sounded like a wonderful time, and I know all of us who weren't there are looking forward to hearing when the next in-person collegiate event could be. So, thank you two for talking more thoroughly about that. That was a wonderful discussion and conversation for all of us all to hear. So,
For sure.
Yeah.
so all right. Let's move on to our other September tournament events, and the last major thing to discuss, and that happened the most recently, that being Entrance Exam 2. All right. So for those of you, I mean, everyone probably knows this at this point, but just to recap, Entrance Exam is the CCA's preseason seeding event for our leagues. Um, for this tournament, it's match results are usually a little bit more important than placements. We just want to know, um, respectfully, where the collegiate teams fall against each other, and who can beat who and who's at similar skill levels. This was Entrance Exam 2 was our first time running a ladder format for this event. Previously, we ran, I believe, it was Swiss into single elimination brackets. From the staff perspective, the ladders ran very smoothly. As in, there's very little to do day of staffing, if I recall from anecdotes. The only hiccup was the part that I was in charge with, which was getting all the teams actually registered. So uh, thank you for all bearing with my pings about splash tags. That was a lot of fun to do. I'll tell you that. I have newfound appreciation for the low ink staff. But the ladder was a great format as it allowed for teams to kind of converge on their skill level and to fight teams and such of wire distribution, such that we could see who surround each level and such. Additionally, allowed teams to get a lot more matches in, and allowed for teams to kind of pick up and play when need be. Many teams played the entire event, those being the 3 hours. Others just played their 4 placement matches and then left. So let's kind of talk about some of the results that we saw from this event. Before we do that, I want to give quick 3 shout-outs. One to all the new teams in University who played in Entry Exam 2, and this was their first CCA event. Welcome to the Collegiate Cephalopod Association. We are glad to have you here, and we're very much looking forward to seeing great things from you in the future. It is great to see any new university that can make a Splatoon team and compete, so we're very glad to have you here. The 2 other things was that with so many teams and so many teams from universities where there's like 2 or 3 teams, we saw a few internal university matches. 2 of note, one starting the tournament, that being IVC Diamond Rays versus IVC Devil Rays, and one ending the tournament, that being WPI Grisco Workers Union versus the WPI Union Busters. We're happy to report that the Diamond Workers Union 2-0'd the Devils Union Busters. It's always funny to see these internal matches, and harpens back to University of Texas at Austin's semifinals match from Season 3 Division 3. Finally, for shoutouts to Penn State for having all 3 of their teams finish within the top 25 placements. You had PSU Lone Star Sirens at rank 25 going 5-4, PSU 90 Lionfish at rank 20 going 5-3, and we'll talk about PS Blue later because there's a lot to discuss there. So, as just a quick reminder, we are going off of the adjusted results. Basically, this was done to more formally kind of quantify the teams. And this is done such that the tiebreaker was win to loss differential, then sets plays, and then to head-to-head if it's available. Head-to-head wasn't always available. Teams didn't play everyone around them placement-wise. So when that happens, you'll see that some of these teams tied. And I'll make sure to discuss those as well. So to jump into some of the specific teams I want to highlight, let's talk about Egg Spaghetti from UC Berkeley. Egg Spaghetti was literally one of the last 5 teams to sign up for Entry Exam 2. I believe literally submitting their registration in like the last 2 hours it was available. This is a new team from UC Berkeley. They placed 18th overall, playing 5 matches and going 4-1. They had some key victories over both of the KSU teams and 2-0ing the Mountaineer Bobblehat Gang at Win Victory University, the QWVU. So we're glad to have you here, and we're looking forward to seeing what comes next from you in Season 4. Speaking about other new schools, let's talk about, if my computer will load, thank you, California State University. Is there an issue?
Hold on. I think your screen share might have died. It froze.
Thank you. I would have just continued had you not said anything too. Let me try recasting it.
That real quick. Yeah. All of our computers are having a grand old time. So yeah, so I think there was a few notable things here. So I know for one, the next team we were actually going to pull up here was CSU LB. Oh man, is it going to complain if I... Okay, so I have to jump back and forth. Dang it. All right, it's fine. But Cal State Long Beach Gold. This is a brand new team from Cal State Long Beach that is joining us. One of 2 teams out of Long Beach here in Southern California. And they had a pretty good run here. I think they definitely had a slightly favorable schedule to start things off, just playing a few new teams, but starting off right away with a UH Premier win, that is pretty good. 2-1 over them, a solid Div 2, contender there, already making a case for themselves. Then following that up with a 2-0 over Redbeak and Comet Combo Meal and Bradley. These are all, pretty consistent teams that we've seen in that Div 2 to 5 range. So they beat all of them. Of course, they did fall short against UCSD Esports Gold, but I mean, it's UCSD Esports Gold. That's one of your consistent top contenders. We harp on them from time to time about being consistent fourth place, but I mean, they're top 4 overall in the collegiate scene. So, and they actually put up a decent fight. We were actually able to, one of the cool things about this event is because it was just so straightforward, the staff was able to pull up all sorts of streams and we got to watch a lot of these matches happen live, especially just from player POVs and whatnot, since we didn't have our own stream for this event. But yeah, it's super cool. Been trying to get Long Beach to join the CCA for quite some time, and I'm so glad that they're finally here and they've already made some noise and are poised to make a pretty good run in season 4. Right. I believe the next team. See, is there a way for me to do this? You know what? You guys can just see the notes.
Everything's out the window.
It's not going to show up on the. Yeah, it's fine. We'll make this work, guys. Yes. So next up, we wanted to highlight the Comet Blasters. So the Comet Blasters are back. They are rebranded back to their original selves. I think that is one of the biggest W's. Not that I had anything against the old name. I just think Comet Blasters is so iconic. I just love the team name. I love the branding. It's, I don't know. It doesn't feel like UT Dallas without the Comet Blasters. So first of all, they're back. And on top of that, they have some crazy results here. They had some very competitive sets. I think Comet Blaster is worth noting, coming in with a very, very different look. A few familiar faces are returning, but no Nito, no Secant. Those were 2 of their star players that really propelled them to Division 1 status. But now they're going to have to move on without them, and it's going to be interesting to see. But they've already shown that they can already stick with at least a lot of those top Div 2 teams at the very least, taking 2-1 over Old Bay Brigade, 2-0 over Michigan State, taking a loss to Banana Split, but taking at least 1 game off of them, 2-1 against UH Premier, 2-1 against the Reef Runners, 2-1 against Squids at Cal. They were so competitive, and I'm really excited to see the Comet Blasters again. I don't know for sure where they're going to end up, because part of them says, hey, we can still hang around Div 1, but I think if moved down to Div 2, they can really have a good shot at winning that division title. So we'll have to see what the cards ultimately have in store for them. But really wanted to highlight them because they put on a show even if there was no show to quite follow. Also, welcome back, Krona.
Discord loves me tonight, apparently. Yeah, Comet Blasters, it's good for them to be back, and they had some very solid and consistent results there. So, yeah. I will move on to the next one. Oh, DRF, do you want me to share my screen now? Or do you want to do it?
I could keep doing it, so let's so we don't have to take the risk.
Fantastic. Reef Unleashed Gold from Rowland University. We're your Season 3 Division 7 champions. And champions is a bit of an understatement, as they swept through Division 7 last season, not losing a single game the entire time. They showed back up here in Executive Sam 2 and placed 6 overall, going 8-3 in matches. A very strong showing, and they're finally given the room they need to breathe and to fight some teams at their level. They had some key victories over IVC Diamond Rays. They 1-2'd Comet Blasters, which we just talked about, and they even 2-0'd UCSD Esports Gold. Reef Unleashed has always kind of been a team that has unfortunately gone under the radar because of their season 3 placements. However, they're very much trying to make a name for themselves now and trying and finally starting to play some teams at their skill level. It's going to be absolutely wonderful to see them play some very competitive matches this season and to see what Rowling University has to fully offer. So next I have
shout out to their 3 losses to Penn State.
we'll get there. We'll get there. Yes. They played PSU Blue 3 times. The only team to do so, as expected. But before we get to the big blue stain on the carpet, let's first talk about the red one, that being Red Ambers from Illinois State University. This is a brand new team from Illinois State, I believe mostly comprised of new collegiate players, players new to the collegiate scene, not too competitive in general. They very much quickly climbed the leaderboard here at entrance exam, and made it was a very sudden and shocking appearance, and racked up some very impressive wins and matches overall. They placed 3rd, going 2-1 in matches with key victories over WPI Grisco Workers Union, Vermilion Tides, and 2-0 Banana Splits. They are very much a team you should keep your eye on, as we do not know what's going to happen with them. This could be potentially a similar case to where Banana Split was last season. So a lot of eyes are going to be on them to see what they do and where they are placed and what they do in their division. So finally, we get to the biggest talking point here, that being PSU Blue. So PSU Blue, or they also can be called Budget Triggerfish Zone Supremacy, easily had the most difficult schedule of the day. They were matching consistently with top teams within Division 1 and 2. Only 25% of their matches were not with Division 1 or 2 teams. And as previously stated, they ended up having to face Reef Unleashed Gold 3 times throughout the entire tournament. They played 12 matches and won every single match, only dropping a single game to their set against Night Sharks, which I think was their 3rd match of the day. Obviously, they placed first, going 12-0 in matches, and they have easily established themselves as the team to beat for Season 4. PSU has always been a very strong team, as we kind of talked about so far, and highlighted them in Booyah Bowl 2. However, they are looking mighty fine for the season and are absolutely deadly as hell. They are the team to beat this season, and it's going to be very interesting to see who will try to rise up and contest them within the crown for Season 4. So, that's kind of the TLDR for Entrance Exam 2. Thank you everyone who participated and played, regardless whether you were a team that placed in the top 25 or just a team kind of trying out Collegiate for their first time. We're glad we had such a strong turnout. I think the final cap was 71 teams or something like that. So that has some really good promise for the teams that can participate here in Season 4. So, before we move on to the closing remarks, I need to do something that Frosty leaked. Which is really funny, because Frosty wasn't even in that conversation.
He was not.
No, he was not. No. For context, it was me and Kira with a few other people, and we were talking about Entrance Exam 2 teams, and I previously stated something stupid, like I was going to eat my Switch if we didn't get 32 teams. And Kira's like, oh, that's stupid. You should actually do something reasonable, like lick a Switch cartridge. And I'm like, why not? Like, I didn't expect for that to actually be enforced, but, here I am. I really should make Frosty do it too. That being said,
Where is he?
Him long enough. Beats me.
Just drag him. Can't escape
he's
his
at
fate.
work.
That lucky bastard. Anywho, so the promise was if we hit 50 teams, I would lick a Switch cartridge, and lo and behold, we had like 20 plus more teams in the roster. So good old arms for Nintendo Switch. Mm, lovely.
Does it taste as good as people have claimed it did when the Switch first released in 2017?
I mean, everyone had kind of hyped it up a little bit more than that. Like, it's not pleasant. It's not pleasant the slightest. But like, I've had a spoonful of citric acid powder before, and that is not fun.
Oh no.
Oh no.
No.
Funny little side
I'm
story.
sure if you need more arms, FT Win could lend you some.
Oh my goodness. Funny little side story. Like right after that announcement went out, we had like 10 teams immediately sign up or something ridiculous like that. We all got notified. It's like, oh, wow, the people want this. They wanted to see that, and now they have it.
I am gonna hold my tongue on trying to recruit more teams for season 4, because I've learned my lesson.
Instead, we just make bets with the rest of staff, and you'll find out who wins that because we've all put our guesses in for how many season 4 we'll get. But there's no cartridge looking this time.
For the winner or the loser, that'd be pretty interesting. We made the winner do it.
If we're going based on losers, Snow is losing every season.
Snow will be licking it tomorrow at this rate. Anywho,
Yes.
that is all the content we had for Entrance Exam 2 and for the summer recap as a whole. So, what comes next, you might be asking. Please sign up for Season 4. Please sign up for Season 4. We very much want to see as many collegiate teams compete in Season 4 as possible. Currently we have a pretty solid number for teams signed up before these last few days, but we really want to try to push our current record for Season 3 and for Entrance Exam 2. And like DRF said, I would very much like to win the staff betting ring, so please sign up for Season 4. As for kind of what comes next, as you all know, Season 4 starts next week. So please be in the loop for announcements and information from us. We are once again doing a division reveal show this Sunday night at 8 p.m. EST. I believe DRF and Mizuno are currently set to host that. More information will be forthcoming, but we hope you all tune in to kind of for this Season 4 kickoff events. As for kind of this podcast, we'll see what comes. Ideally, maybe we have another episode next week, but there's a lot to be done and a lot of other stuff that needs to happen. So we're going to kind of play it by year. So just again, be on the lookout for announcements. And be a look on the announcements from us all. So yes. So thank you so much for joining us. DRF, OmaZen, where can we find you to?
Yeah, I'll go first. You can find me on Twitter at DRF_Splatoon, on Twitch, TritonDRF, but per usual, you'll find me more often here at the CCA on that CCA Twitch channel, CCA_Splatoon.
Yeah, and as for myself, you can find me on Discord as just OmaZen, and then on Twitter, you can find me there as OmaZen_Monkey. No why.
You can find me on Twitter and Discord here at comrade_Krona. Thank you all for joining us for this episode 0 of the podcast, and have a nice night, everyone.
See ya.
Peace out.